To start off 4 o'clock with a weather impact alert. We are tracking 100-mile-per-hour winds in part of the Front Range. The wind is picking up dust. It's making it difficult to drive in some places. Nathan Booth, thank you very much, shared this video of the dust up north in Firestone. Visibility is just making it a challenge for drivers to get anywhere. The wind forced several highways to shut down because of all the dangerous conditions. Power is off to thousands of folks in Colorado as the potential of a fire sparking is especially high today. These dry conditions and extreme winds combining increase our fire risks. Thanks for joining us at 4. I'm Alexandra Lewis.
And I'm Jennifer Meckles. We have crews tracking conditions this evening. Marshall Zellinger is checking in with Boulder's wastewater facility about their backup plans when the power gets shut off. Jeremy Hohola has been surveying the winds in the foothills, but we want to start here in our studios with senior meteorologist Chris Bianchi. National Weather Service, Chris, issued a really rare weather alert today. It was a name I'd not even heard of before about fire warnings.
Yeah, particularly dangerous situation. It's not something that you typically see. So think of a warning with an exclamation point. That's what the Weather Service did for today because of not only the strong winds, but it's really dry out there today. We also set a daily record high for us in Denver. We reached 70 degrees. In fact, 90's backyard, it was just 73 a few minutes ago. So you couple that with 80 to 100-mile-an-hour winds on the west side of the metro area, and that's why there's that increased fire danger for today for us, and that weather impact alert will run through 10 p.m. tonight. Otherwise, greatest concern that where the PDS, the particularly dangerous situation warning, it's in this purple shaded zone for Boulder County as well as down through Jeffco as well. That goes till midnight tonight with winds gusting up to 100 miles an hour. We've already seen actually a couple of those gusts exceed 110 miles an hour. Mesa Lab an hour ago recording 112-mile-an-hour wind gusts there in the south side of Boulder. We've had 3 different 100-plus-mile-an-hour wind gusts for us here in the Boulder County area. So here's a little lay of the land. Where are we with the wind? Here's a little good news. The strongest wind, not long to go. The wind right now is in the foothills and in the mountains. Eventually, we're going to kind of spread the wealth, so to speak, here. We're going to kind of mix out the wind, but that will also decrease those strongest winds. So right now, Boulder Highway 93, between now and about 6, 7 o'clock, that's going to be the worst of the wind. So the next 2.5 hours, then that wind will start to relax and push down into Denver. So in Denver right now, we haven't seen a ton of wind here in the metro area, in the majority of the metro area. That'll change. Again, we're going to kind of share the wealth a little bit and push down that wind as that mountain wave breaks down. 40, 50, 60-mile-an-hour winds for us tonight in the metro area. But those winds won't be as bad as what we're seeing in the foothills right now, and that fire danger will remain, but fire danger will relax a little bit for us as we head through tonight and into tomorrow. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to time out all that wind for you and get into detail on that 7-day forecast that's coming up in just a couple minutes.
All right, Chris, thanks. High winds caused some real issues out at DIA this afternoon. They were dealing with, at one point, a ground stop, then a ground delay. Now you're looking live at the airport. According to FlightAware now, more than 1,000 flights have been delayed, nearly 50 canceled today. United, Southwest, and Frontier are all among the airlines impacted. So if you are traveling tonight, definitely double check your flight status.
These strong winds are once again causing road closures around the state. Because of the dangerous conditions, CDOT has closed several highways. That includes I-25 in both directions, 9 miles north of Fort Collins, Highway 36 between Boulder and Lyons, Highway 93 near Arvada, Highway 72 north of Boulder, and Highway 128 near Broomfield. CDOT says more closures could happen if the wind continues to pick up. The winds are particularly strong in Boulder County, and that has been designated as one of the areas of greatest concern today.
Yeah, 9 News reporter Jeremy Hohola spent the day out in the foothills today, kind of braving it all. Jeremy, what have you seen, and how's it looking right now?
Yeah, right now these gusts keep coming and going. I mean, these winds are very reminiscent of what happened here, actually very near this location along Highway 93 4 years ago. The Marshall Fire actually erupting at this location, the 4-year mark actually this December 30th. But when these winds come, they come, and when they come, they are brutally strong. Today we spent the day in residential areas in North Boulder watching crews respond to massive trees falling. We saw this at 7th and Mapleton and again along Juniper Avenue. There, a massive pine tree fell on some utility lines. And this is perhaps why Xcel preemptively shut off power in this area today. We spoke to people here who have been without power since 6 o'clock this morning. And some people have actually been jumping into their vehicles periodically to charge their devices so they can continue to receive those text alerts updates from Xcel. But indeed, as people wait for power, it's been a busy day for linemen and tree cutting crews.
There's such a beauty living on the street, tree-lined street, right? Tree-lined neighborhood. That's the downside. Yeah, it's just, it's sad, and I'm grateful that nobody was under it.
Yeah, here along Highway 93, you can see the road remains closed, and this will remain closed indefinitely because of these severe conditions. And we're experiencing one of those really strong gusts right now when they arrive. They're very powerful. And you can see all just the dust here just being kicked up here. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office also put out an alert today warning people. Here comes like a piece of a sign or something like that, warning people not to drive because of flying debris like this in the middle of the road. So quite the day today here in Boulder County. Back to you guys.
Jeremy, please stay safe out there. You don't need signs blown across the road into you. The lights are off now for thousands of people across the state. Xcel once again preemptively shut power off to customers across Boulder, Clear Creek, Gilpin, Jefferson, Larimer, and Weld counties. At our last check, we've seen nearly 89,000 customers without power, more than 250 outages. Many of those are labeled as unplanned outages, so not the preemptive ones. Xcel originally said the shutoffs would impact about 69,000 customers. They said conditions, though, probably not going to improve until later tonight. There was a brief power concern this morning at Boulder's wastewater facility, which treats the dirty water before it then flows into Boulder Creek.
The facility had to rely on one of its multiple backup contingency options. Our Marshall Zellinger is live in north of Boulder. So this wastewater plant was taken offline the first time Xcel shut off power last year.
And Alex, that's why there are multiple backup options for that facility, which is just south of where we are. We're on this overlook near Gun Barrel, which can see from pretty much where Jeremy is over on Highway 93 and Marshall Road, way in the distance by the foothills. Behind me, there's a body of water, Boulder Reservoir, and we've seen a lot of dust kicking up. Not right now, though, conveniently for what we are, which is great because it means the wind isn't as strong as it has been. Looking to the north, we can see all the way past Niwot toward Longmont and Lyons, and it's up there closer toward Lyons on the north foothills there where we can see the dust currently kicking up from our location. As for that Boulder wastewater facility, it is not supposed to go offline, which it did briefly last year when Xcel did its first ever public safety power shutoff. And it's got multiple backups as a result of that experience, and yet it was still briefly caught by surprise at 5:30 a.m. When the wind blows close to 100 miles per hour, you don't want the stuff to hit the fan.
For the event that we have today, we needed 5 generators to be ready.
You can't spell pool without poo. Boulder's wastewater treatment pools takes the poo out before sending cleaner water into Boulder Creek.
We've learned a lot since a year and a half ago.
We met Boulder Deputy Utility Operations Director Chris Duville in April 2024 when this facility lost power during Xcel's first public safety power shutoff, even though the city pays to be served by 2 different substations under a 2006 agreement with Xcel.
I mean, this is a critical facility, and at the end of the day, this is public health and environmental protection, so we have to have more than just one backup plan.
That's why there are 5 backup generators, in case the 2 main sources of power get shut off again. And this morning, Duville said Xcel shut one of them off briefly.
This morning, they actually had a little bit of an operational blunder, and the one feed did go off for this facility. They quickly restored it.
Minus that hiccup, he praised Xcel's communication this time around, which allowed the facility to have multiple backup systems.
Xcel's been actually a great partner recently to give us advance warning. That was one of the strong demands that we had, and so we had that this time.
Try not to throw anything at your screen when I say this, but the wastewater facility is on some sort of priority list if the power were to ever go out there. I don't know how a resident can get its way onto a priority list to get its power back on, and I'm sure there are tens of thousands of people right now saying, get me on a list just like that. The wind now picking back up, and behind us, we've put the area of Lyons, where that is the only area from this lookout point currently where we see dust kicking up, but luckily nothing more dangerous than what we're seeing back there.
Okay, Marshall, thank you for that update. So we will continue to follow this windstorm and all the angles and impacts throughout the evening for you. In the meantime, you can text the word wind to 303-871-1491 for a link to all of our coverage.
In just the last 20 minutes, we have learned new details about the crash that killed State Senator Faith Winter. A new report says Winter had alcohol in her system and that she rear-ended a truck when she died. The crash happened on November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving. The Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office says there were 2 crashes that night on northbound I-25 in Centennial. Investigators say Winter was part of the second crash, that she hit the back of a Ford F-350 flatbed that had stopped in traffic after a crash further up the road. The Sheriff's Office says that truck did not have visible taillights, but the report says Winter was at fault for that crash. The toxicology report says Winter's BAC was .185, which would be more than enough to be considered legally drunk in the state of Colorado. Winter had struggled with alcohol for years. She once showed up to a community event while intoxicated and had gone to rehab for help.